Hey, good morning, good people. So, we are here and we are back week 3. Okay, discussing, hold on. There we go. We are back discussing week 3. And what do we do week 3? We call week 3 the tourist week in Josie, right? It's the history, it's the culture, it's the community, and God's hand in it all. I have a little visitor coming. Good morning, bud. I did. I left you upstairs. It's okay. Nene's up there. Come on. Here, come this way. Oh, okay. Okay. So, yeah. But week 3 in Johannesburg, South Africa. Yeah, this week felt different. The first 2 weeks they're about landing, adjusting, observing, asking, like, could this really be, right? And I told you that. I discussed that. But week 3, though, week 3 was about understanding. And okay, yes, okay, you can lay down. We intentionally leaned in, right? We didn't tour any real estate properties. We really we were tourists, but not tourists in like the shallow sense, not as in those just like take pictures in awe and wonder. And not that there's anything wrong with that. And even though I did take lots of pictures in awe and wonder, but it went deeper than that. It was tourist in the posture of a student. Like, what are we learning here? Here, you can't lean that way, baby. You're kind of heavy. Ugh. And so I was reading something, and it was talking about like a pilgrimage. So I decided to like look up the word pilgrimage because that's just what I do. Like, let's go deeper into this. I have my moments, y'all. And so, but I looked up the word pilgrim this week, and according to Merriam-Webster, a pilgrim is someone who journeys in a foreign land, yes, but especially to sacred places. Often a spiritual journey. That's deep, right? I know. Because a lot of times tourists travel to see, but a pilgrim travels to be changed. And there's a difference in that, Like tourism consumes the experience, but a pilgrim honors it and embodies it, if you will. And so I was just like, yeah, we went on a pilgrimage this week, and it was beautiful. Oh, did you say good morning to Daddy? No. Say good morning, Nene? Okay. And so, at any rate, it felt sacred. It felt like, I don't know, as a mother and as a Christian, a believer, as someone who believes that education is about like shaping the whole person, which is also why we said we would homeschool, why we decided to homeschool. I don't want my children to just collect stamps on a passport. I want them to develop reverence for the spaces they enter. I want them to develop discernment, to be able to lean on their spiritual side and our Heavenly Father to govern where they go, to govern how they behave, to govern how they speak, where they walk, what they do, the choices they make, I want them to have cultural literacy, my goodness, to learn about all the various cultures that exist, those both past and present, to fully understand humanity in its true form, if that makes sense. Yeah, that. So pilgrimage, I think, kind of assumes that God is present in the journey, and He is indeed present in our journey. Like there are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Do y'all see this wind? Yo, the wind is whipping. I don't even know if you all can see it. I wanted to open the doors this morning. It's a little chilly. I was like, yeah, we'll wait a little bit. But South Africa, the wind and your temperatures. Like it can go from hot as I don't know what to a bit of a chill. And I love it all. But yeah, I love cool weather. My husband prefers the heat. I think that's from all his military stuff. So, but I like cooler weather. But anyway, I digress. The wind was just blowing and it distracted me. I'm sorry. But anyway, y'all know it doesn't take much. So, but anyway, so like thinking about what a pilgrimage is, like think about like the land that, and I don't mean pilgrimage in terms of like the American history pilgrimage. Not that there's anything wrong with it. Just saying. But pilgrimage in the sense of what the word means, it's like the ground you are walking on has something to deposit within you. And that's like what this week felt like. It wasn't just travel. It wasn't just tourist attractions. It was transformation. It was beautiful. And I mean every different part of it. And they were all different experiences, very different experiences, but they were all magical. So I hope y'all don't think I'm whispering. I'm sorry if you think I am. I'm trying to turn this mic up and keep it like right here. But and anyway, we walked through history. We touched legacy. Oh my goodness. We tasted culture. Oh, it was so good, y'all. We laughed deeply. We were moved deeply. And we learned in ways that you can't like replicate in a classroom, and, once again, like we saw God in all the details. Only He could have curated our experience. I mean, this whole thing from the moment of conception, I guess, if you will, His hand is just all in the details. And yeah, it's been wonderful. So I'm gonna take you with me on what our week was like. So first we started in Soweto. We went with Herbie Man Tour Consultants. Uncle Herbert is amazing. Let me just tell you that. I've said this before. The man is a walking historical piece. It is incredible. Everything that is in his brain. I mean, and you're in awe, right? But more than that, he helps you to have and grasp an understanding of the history of things, of why. So it's not just this is X, Y, and Z. It's this is X, Y, and Z because at this time, these people did this thing to result in this, which now lends to show as this. Like there's a whole lineage to everything, and it is absolutely phenomenal. If you are ever visiting South Africa, if you live here, if you want to come here, listen, hit them up. I will put their information in the link, okay, or in the description. Hands down, amazing, okay? And so anyway, we went to Soweto, right? And there's so much to learn about Soweto. Like what you hear about Soweto is not what it is. And it's so much more. And, and Soweto's alive. It's alive with traffic and people, and the culture is just there. And it's also alive with memory. And so, like he didn't just recite information. He told stories, and there were stories that made us, it made the streets feel very sacred because of the history that lived there, and yeah. If don't sleep on the Soweto tour. The Soweto tour is good. I can't vouch for any other tour company. I can vouch for the one we've had. And they're amazing. They're phenomenal. So, and he's from Soweto. Well, he's not from Soweto. I think he lived in Soweto. Let me not give out erroneous information because that might not be right. But I think he used to live in Soweto. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on, right? But Soweto was amazing. But before we went to Soweto, we went to Sanctuary Mandela. Mic drop, y'all. So at Sanctuary Mandela, I keep thinking about spiritual maturity, like Mandela endured imprisonment, isolation, injustice, and yet emerged without the bitterness consuming him. His spirit is so beautiful and it's so thick that it rests even still in that place, right? And that doesn't happen accidentally. Forgiveness at that scale requires spiritual discipline. Okay. And as a believer, I do see the parallels with, sorry, y'all, this wind. Okay. The wind is crazy. But yeah, as a believer, I do see the parallels with Christ's command of like, Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. And forgiveness is not weakness. It is strength under control. And I stood there thinking, my goodness, like, it's just, you can feel his spirit. You can feel, we're not even South African, but it's Black Americans who were forcefully taken from this continent, from our true homeland. Like, we felt a sense of pride, as we walked through, as we heard his story, as we heard his journey. We felt a sense of pride. It was phenomenal. Don't skip this one. You come, don't skip this one. It's great. And so to sit in a space dedicated to preserving Madiba's legacy, it's humbling. And you realize that leadership isn't loud. It's steady. It's sacrificial. It is disciplined. And as a mother, as an educator, as someone who, studies wellness and whole person development, I couldn't help but think about like the emotional intelligence required to endure what he endured and still emerge with forgiveness and with poise and with just the gentle spirit, but the strength that, it's just, I'm beside myself. So anyway, I'm gonna move on. So like the learning that we did, this is the kind of learning that I want for my children. And I was so happy and blessed and proud to have them there, because even though they're 3 and 6, right? And they're both brilliant kids. My 6-year-old, she's a little firecracker, and she absorbs. They're both sponges, but because she's 6, she can understand, process a bit more. And I know that eventually the questions will come because that's how she's wired. But I do know that she absorbed a lot over this past week, even over the trip, but especially over this past week. She absorbed a lot, whether she looked like she was paying attention or not. But I know she did. And so I'll just await her questions because I know they're coming, and we'll have family discussions about some of the things we've learned, because we're going to create a lot of lessons, because that's the thing about homeschool. Everything is a learning opportunity. Yep. So yeah, but this kind of learning, it forms character. It's not just intellect. It's not just regurgitating facts. It's true understanding of what we are witnessing in the storytelling of the history of what transpired in these spaces with these leaders and these people and those who sacrificed their lives even. So, and that leads me to our next place, which was the Regina Mundi Church. Beautiful, beautiful. You feel it the moment you walk in, though, like hands down. And so the church became a refuge during the apartheid era, specifically during the 1976 student uprising, where nearly 600 children lost their lives. I want you to let that sink in. 600 children lost their lives. The protesters gathered there. Police invaded, bullets pierced the ceiling from like the helicopters or whatever that were on top. And some of those bullet holes remained. Like, they didn't plaster over all of them. Some of them remained, and they left them visible. And when you think about, anytime you think about children being hurt, killed, whatever, it's that moves you. Like, if you're not moved, something's wrong, But to see the bullet holes, and it's, yeah, I think there's a lot to say about that. And because healing doesn't mean pretending it didn't happen. Yeah, we're just gonna let that breathe. I know some people who could probably use that phrase. Healing doesn't mean pretending it didn't happen. And so we stood with our children beneath that ceiling and discussed and talked about the courage that they must have endured. And again, they're 3 and 6. But being in this beautiful church and listening to the stories, it taught lessons about what faith looks like when it costs something. And it was very reminiscent of the African American history and our civil rights leaders. And, so everything was very familiar, and equally as moving and equally as impactful, But it really is about how community and church are their spiritual spaces, right? It reminded me of stories from the old Black church, tradition in the U.S., when church wasn't just Sunday service, it was strategy, it was safety, it was strength, and the parallel was not lost on us. It just wasn't. We thoroughly enjoyed it. I know y'all get tired of me saying a spiritual experience, but y'all, it's not something you can adequately place into words unless you experience it. So take a trip to South Africa. I promise you will not be disappointed. Okay? I promise you will not be disappointed. But it will move you. Not only will it move you, it will change you for the better. So we left the church and we went to the Hector Peterson Memorial. We didn't get to do the museum because we were running out of time, but the Hector Peterson Memorial was, it was sobering. It really was. Think a child, a protest of movement. The image from 1976 is one that history cannot forget. And we didn't rush through this stop. There was room to feel, and again, not that our kids really understood everything that was being said, because by this point they probably were pretty mentally drained, but I did record it because I wanted them to understand what happened and what transpired there. When you see there's a wall with pillars of different sizes, and it was those represent the different heights of the children who were killed. Y'all, there were some that were the size of my daughter, and just as a mother, your heart just, it feels that pain. The memorial, there's a fountain, and from the running water, and it was so beautiful, the contrast, because there were kids playing in the water, but from that fountain, there are grooves in the structure, in the tile or what have you, and it represented, you could see where the water would run through the grooves, and it represented the blood that ran through the street in this area when they were just killing kids. Oh Lord, so that one was tough, but you learned so much. And when my kids are maybe in about a year, because we are very much so intentional about raising emotionally well children and teaching them the hard truths, because avoiding history does not protect children. it weakens them. It leaves it open for those tragedies to happen again, and it benefits. I'm not gonna say it benefits no one. It's not. It's not healthy for anyone. And so, as Uncle Herbert gave the tour and he spoke about the injustice, the courage of these kids, the voices of these youth, what they sacrificed. Yeah, there was something powerful about that teaching. I think it's important for us to tell our kids that history is not always pretty. Actually, most times it's not. But it is necessary. It's necessary for them to learn and to understand so that they don't make some of those same mistakes again, So yeah, we did the Hector Peterson Memorial, and then we ended it with going to Mandela's first home. Modest, small, unassuming. I learned something. I learned a lot. But one thing I did not know, did y'all know that former President Mandela was 6'4"? I said, I never knew. 6'4", 6'4". I was like, yo. And it showed how tall he stood against the window. So you could see in the picture, and then you can actually see the window. And you're like, holy smokes. I did not know that. But a small home reminded me that God often starts movements in ordinary places, in very humble beginnings. And, think about it, in the Bible, David was a shepherd. Moses was out and about in the wilderness, Jesus was born in a manger, which is in a stable with animals. So we never despise small beginnings. And that message felt very personal. And there was so much history, so much richness, so much what he endured in the home, what he and his wife had to do in the home to protect themselves and their children. It was good, yo. It was good. It was a powerful reminder that impact doesn't require grandeur to be life-changing, And greatness often emerges from simplicity, so that message hit. Well, that was the Soweto tour, and I was going to combine this. I was going to make this a video all about the tourist experiences, but I can't because Soweto tour just deserves its own. So, the whole, we'll call it the history tour because it was Soweto, it's Mandela Sanctuary, which was his home for, I think, most of the years he was president, and then that was his Hector Peterson Memorial, then there was his first home, so all of that, Yeah, so this is just going to be the history video, but it was wonderful. It was absolutely phenomenal, and I can't say enough about it. We are changed, and I will make sure you check out the videos that come after this. Again, follow, share, subscribe. Follow, share, subscribe. Yes, all the things, so that you are notified, because I'm going to talk about our Karachi fashion experience, honey. Listen, amazing. I'm also going to tell you about our elephant sanctuary visit. Oh, y'all. And the Lacetti Cultural Village tour. It was amazing. So I will also include some video snippets. Now you will see some of the things that we witnessed on the historical tour of Mandela and the church and the memorial and his homes and all the things. So I'll show you that, and I will see you next time. I love y'all. Okay. So, and y'all excuse my rambles. I apologize. And then I have to get my thoughts together, and then I try to go by my outline, but then I go off left. So, but anyway, I know y'all probably gonna say I'm whispering. I'm not. I think my voice is just tired. And again, I'm soft spoken, so I'm trying my best. Is this thing on? Did it work? We'll see. So anyway, love and blessings, and I will see you next time. Toodles.
It was from 1992 till 1998. He actually became president while living in this house. Served most of his time as president here. He actually actually left the house just 1 year before the end of his term as president, and he moved to the next street, which is a house that Herbert will probably show you as well, or maybe he's already shown you. Yeah, so that was his final home. Soon after moving out of this house, he married his recent wife, Grasa Machel, and then started the Nelson Mandela Foundation in 1999. So this was designed by South African sculptor in honor of Mr. Mandela's love for reading, gifting it to the Nelson Mandela Foundation.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Proves how much of the house is
and also the picture that is that side where it shows a crucial decisions made. Yeah. That is where he's there with Uncle Kathy. There's also with Andrew Mhlangeni. I have a picture with Andrew Mhlangeni. He was one of the last also of those that were at Robben Island.
It's amazing. Oh my God, you can just.
Yeah.
There's so much pride and
and when you look at the pictures, you see what it looks like. Yeah. And they have the own little herb garden also outside. The chef that was here until recently was the chef of Nelson Mandela. Really? Yeah, Lisa, Mark Lisa, but she's left now. But I think maybe she started her own. She wrote, I think 2 or 3 books. There's one of her books here with Nelson Mandela's favorite foods in there, especially mush. Mush is sempen beans. Mush. Yeah.
And what you said is meat. What is it?
Sempen beans.
Sempen beans.
It's maize and maize.
Oh, okay.
The portrait of him, his boxing career, was actually taken in the early 1950s when he underwent his boxing training with a gym that was in close proximity to his home in Soweto. And he liked the idea of being a boxer or becoming a boxer one day, but he didn't go professional with the career. He was part of the heavyweight division when he was undergoing his training.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much.
It's a beautiful church, though.
Very beautiful.
My nationality is Sotho.
Okay.
The Sothos, original of Sothos are from Free State, and also in the country called Lesotho.
Okay.
Lesotho is a small country surrounded by South Africa, so it's inside South Africa.
Okay.
So yes, this is Regina Mundi. The church was built in 1961, then officially opened 1962.
Okay.
The capacity of this church is 2,000.
Wow.
It's large.
In 1976, the Soweto uprising, the students in Soweto came in here. Then the police came, they surrounded the church, shooting from out and in. Not shooting on the students, but shooting on the roof to scare those kids out. Look up there, this one up there, you see that one?
I see.
I do see it.
Yes, that's one of the bullet holes in the church. And I'll show you more of those holes in this church. And no one was killed in here, but most of the students get hurt because they were pushing and stepping on top of each other. That's one of the famous black Madonna around the world.
Wow, beautiful.
In Poland, in Switzerland, in Italy, in Spain, Brazil, France, Germany, and also South America, in Mexico, little Guadalupe. Yeah, yes.
And when the colors are bright, it shows they were in a bright mood. When it's down, they were not in. And the rocks that you see on that side is what the children were armed with stones. That is the picture of Hector Peterson, the lifeless body being picked up by so he's being carried there by Makubu. Erected by the ANC, unveiled by Nelson Mandela on the 16th of June, 1992. And it also became a public holiday. The 16th June is known as Youth Day. Yes. Picture went viral. So he was